just a creepy movie. It definitely creeps you out for sure.
Somebody has to be perfect, so it might as well be me.
Talk about deja vu.
You live to tell the tale.
You gotta think like a werewolf.
It's the Slashers and Screamers podcast. It's the Slashers and Screamers podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Billy Graves. You can find us on Twitter at Slashers Sports, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Slasher Sports Media, on slashersports.com. We are bringing you the best of sports and entertainment with shows just like this one, Slashers and Screamers podcast. Of course, we also have the likes of Christian Rao with a Rao Report, Julian Gilarte with Out in the Field, and me with the Hit City podcast. But today, we want to thank you very much for joining us as we review the 2001 supernatural horror 13 Ghosts. So, let me go ahead and get my co-host in here. First of all, Final Girl Casey, welcome.
Hello, Billy.
How are you?
Have I told you this is one of my favorite movies?
You've mentioned it. And you've mentioned that there may be an actor or two that you are quite fond of in this film.
Fond is the biggest understatement you've ever said, but we'll get into that.
We will, once we get our third co-host in here, by the name of the Godfather of Droll James. JB, what say ye?
What about it, Bill?
Hey, same old same. You sound clear, man. What's going on over there? You out in the you're recording from the woods or something?
I'm in my new production booth, Bill.
Not a production booth. What are you producing in there? Bacon?
All kinds of content.
Oh man. Well, explain yourself, James.
Well, I usually do the podcast from the bedroom.
The toilet, yes.
And now I've moved to the living room.
Oh, okay. Where there are fewer people, less traffic.
Less traffic in the living room, Bill.
There's less traffic in the living room. Okay, I was being sarcastic. There's less traffic. That's good, though. That's good. Now all we'll hear is, the dog fights that you got set up in your living room. But that's all right. We could use the audio because this week we are one person light. And
also been watching.
Well, hang on, James. Hang on. You're not gonna like this news at all. You're not gonna like it because your best friend, your best friend, other than me, the Memphis Maniac Rick, is not with us this week.
Rowdy Rick Boobs.
Rowdy Rick is he's off hunting. He's out hunting Easter eggs at dusk.
Bobcat Goldwig probably got him in a headlock.
Who?
Whoever that guy was that was 10 foot taller than him.
Well, it wasn't Bobcat Goldthwait, I can tell you that. Joe Bob Briggs. So Rick is
Bob Briggs. That's it.
Fucking Rick. He's out like living his best life, going to a horror and tattoo convention in Nashville this past weekend, and
Rick ain't a tattoo.
He's got a ton of tattoos. James.
I was gonna say Rick's got a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah, he's got like. He's not. Listen, he's scared of anything, but he's not scared of needles. He
gets them painted on every time he sees y'all. Just like maybe it's like a series I've been watching, Bill.
What series
you
been watching?
It's all henna tattoos.
Sons of Anarchy.
You've been watching Sons of Anarchy? I watched that. Not when it was new. I didn't watch it when it was new. Did you watch it, Casey?
I have never seen Sons of Anarchy.
Well, I'm sure if Rick was here, he'd be down on it.
Oh, yeah, he would hate it. It just got too popular for him. Yeah, because he hates bicycles. He's going to just detest motorcycles.
Rick's probably got a Sons of Anarchy tattoo on his back.
And now he's going to have it removed because 3 more people like it. So when did you start this, James?
I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And it's just not coming up?
No, I think about maybe a week and a half.
Okay, well that's all right because it was a good show. I caught up to it when I guess it was already over, so I didn't get to see it live on TV. I didn't have to wait a week in between episodes. What I did get to experience, as did the rest of you, was how these hillbilly women around where we live just fell in love with what's his name? The actor. What's his name, James? The one from the main guy?
Ron Perlman.
The other one.
Oh, Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, Charlie Hunnam. And
That cannot be the way you say his name. That cannot be the way.
It is.
It's 100% accurate. Charlie Hunnam of
British and also comes from a hole in the South Pacific.
What Pacific Rim fame. So yeah, Ron Perlman. That's the show that I said it would be funny if. No, wait, this is not that one. But I did say that it would be funny if instead of Ron Perlman, they'd accidentally sent the casting letter to Rhea Perlman, and she had to be Hellboy.
You know, Ron
I probably
Perlman is
would
a
have tuned in for
classically
that.
trained actor, Bill.
I believe it. So is Rhea. What'd you say, Casey?
I said I would absolutely watch that feature.
I would love Hellboy if Rhea Perlman was Hellboy.
I mean, I already love Hellboy. I could only imagine what it would do for the rest of it.
And what if she
Hellboy
had,
2? Better? I'll
Yeah.
say it.
Well, what if Sons of Anarchy had been like all these tough guys, and then is it Kathy Seagal? Is that her name? Kathy Siegel?
Steven Seagal's brother.
Katie? I think it's Katie.
Katie,
Like
I'm sorry.
Leela, or Leela from Futurama, right?
Yes.
I think it's Katie.
There's a guy at work.
So-
There's a guy
Yeah,
where
it's
I work
Katie.
at that argues that Katie Seagal and Steven Seagal are brother and sister.
Well, let him keep living that lie, James. I think there's an extra letter in Steven's name, and he's not as good a fighter. But
Seagal and Seagull.
Steven Seagal. But what if Rhea Perlman was like the leader of this gang the whole time? That would be
I think
great.
she could pull it off.
She would pull it off.
I would want her to wear the outfits that she wore in Matilda, like where she looked like the nanny.
I would settle for what she was wearing on Cheers. I would totally buy it. Well, James, how are you liking the show, though? You're not that far into it if you're only a week into it. You don't watch enough TV to get that far into it.
I've already seen it before.
Oh, well, what?
I'm just watching it again, Bill.
You make me so mad sometimes, James. Well, what have we done? Casey, you've... do you want to throw any congratulations to your friends for their upcoming activities?
Well, first I'd like to say congratulations to James, who is 40 these days.
Man, 2 days ago, our beloved Godfather has jumped into the deep end, into the abyss, and hit his 40s. How do you feel, James? You feel any older?
Yeah, I feel pretty rough, Bill.
Yeah, you look it.
These past 2 days have been tough on me.
Oh man, Casey, you saw the you saw the Facebook post I made for him.
I did. It was very sweet.
Was it not sweet? And then did you see his response?
Yeah, James said something kind in return, and Billy said, "Blow it out your ass, James."
And the only two people that liked that comment were you and Rick.
I threw a heart on that shit.
You put a heart on it. I think Rick might have put a laughing, like a crying laughing emoji or something. And then James, we just resumed our instant message conversation like it never happened. But I was pretty proud of it because I had it preloaded. I actually typed in my comment before and copied and pasted it when he replied. It was wonderful. It was just so fast. I felt like Leon the Professional. Just accurate.
Oh my god, what a movie.
Oh, it was great. And if we ever delve into, maybe the more dramatic or action movies, that's one of the ones we're going to have to do.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I will offer a swift congratulations to my friends Miranda and Zach, who are engaged. I attended her bachelorette function this weekend, and also they're the two people that I watched 13 Ghosts with earlier this week. So it's really been a great week with them.
I was there dressed as a bear. Well, most of the time. No?
We would have noticed.
Okay, well, the top half of a bear. But anyway, guys, listen. This movie that we're reviewing this week is quite possibly my favorite supernatural film there ever was.
Bold from Billy.
It's a short list. It's a very short list. But I do like the movie a lot. First of all, because you don't have your usual horror suspects. You know, you don't have like a long list of recurring people in, you know, former horror movies. First of all, we may as well go ahead and, you know, look at our cast of characters, right? I mean, we don't have Rick, so let's talk about in Rick's stead who we've got in this film. First and foremost, Tony Shalhoub. What's the first role you think of when you think of Tony Shalhoub?
Tony Schiavone.
Thanks to Tony Schiavone. Oh, that's
What'd
probably
you say?
Tony Schiavone. He's
I don't know what that is.
Listen, you're better for not knowing.
He's a person, first of all, not it.
So Tony Schiavone is a pro wrestling announcer turned baseball announcer turned pro wrestling announcer again after his damn near 20-year hiatus. And James and I both went to see him and another legendary announcer, Jim Ross, in Nashville at Zany's one time, and we got pictures, and I looked stupid because I was wearing my Little Rascals hat and a denim jacket. But Tony Shalhoub, what do you think of when you think of Tony Shalhoub? What roles do you think of?
Spy Kids.
I forgot about that one. Most people probably think of Monk.
Oh, that too.
You know what I think of first?
This. I think of this first.
I would think you think of this first. And
but
I guess we're talking about movies, probably
Spy
this.
Kids.
Do you guys remember a TV show called, I think it was called Wings?
I've heard of this show, but I've never seen it. I think my mom likes this show.
So,
maybe.
Well, everybody liked it if they saw it, okay? First of all. And Tony Shalhoub, this is the first thing that I ever saw him in. It was basically a TV show about a couple of brothers who are pilots. It had, Thomas Hayden Church, I think is his name. He plays like a mechanic.
It is Thomas Hayden Church.
So, there was a female lead. She was like hot at the time, and I can't remember who that was. But Tony Shalhoub.
Crystal Bernard.
Crystal Bernard?
I don't know. I'm looking at the cast. Crystal Bernard, Rebecca.
Okay,
Schull,
yeah. I was thinking Sandra Bernhard. Totally different person. But Tony Shalhoub played I don't even know what he did in the show, but that's the first place I saw him, and he was very funny in this TV show. But
are y'all talking about the TV show with the planes?
The TV show with the planes, thus called Wings.
Yeah, is that what he was on?
He was on that show. That's the first place I ever saw him.
Wasn't he a taxi driver or something?
He might have been a taxi driver from the airport. Yeah, good call. But he was also in, and if we're going to stick to horror genres, then 1408, he had a role in that John Cusack and Sam L. Jackson movie.
I haven't seen that movie in years.
It's
I
been a
should,
long
though.
time. Well, it's available.
I didn't remember him being in it, so.
It's on one of those streaming services. It might be Netflix. Might be new on Netflix, as a matter of fact.
Mm.
Had a maybe an episode or two in the TV show Monsters from the late 80s. But he's relatively not someone you would think of as a horror actor. And then we've got Shannon Elizabeth. I think we all probably all together in the same role when we talk about Shannon Elizabeth.
Scary movie.
Okay, never mind. Maybe we don't.
Maybe not.
James, when you think of Shannon Elizabeth, is there any specific role that you remember her from?
American Pie.
Thank you, Doctor. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Is she the foreign exchange student?
She's the foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
And that is an iconic role. Teenage
that movie's
Billy.
So stupid.
Teenage Billy wore out his pause button. Okay. But she's no stranger to horror flicks. She was in the 97 flick Jack Frost, which is kind of it's listed as a comedy horror, but I think they actually meant for this to be scary.
And it just happened to be funny.
And it just happened to be really stupid. But yeah, Jack Frost, and then You Belong to Me, about is basically a stalker flick. She was in a couple episodes of the new-ish Twilight Zone, the reboot of it, back in the early 2000s. She was in the 2009 Night of the Demons, and of course 13 Ghosts. I'm going to go ahead and give way to Casey on this next one. I know you got a couple things. Oh, Rooney! I know that you have a couple of things to say about our third build actor.
I'd personally like to welcome you to the love of my life, Matthew Lillard. Famous for movies like John Waters' Serial Mom, Hackers, Stu from Scream, Steve-O in SLC Punk. He's in She's All That. I can't think of his name in that movie, but he's got that iconic dance sequence. And then he was Shaggy in Scooby-Doo and the sequel. And in animation, he replaced Casey Kasem in 2009 and has been in like all those Scooby-Doo movies. The man is iconic in horror and otherwise. And he seems like a very interesting person. Like in interviews, he's so personable. He was in the show Good Girls, which I also enjoyed. And also he's into Dungeons & Dragons, which is such a fun activity. I just think we would be really good friends.
I've got some questions for that man.
What would your first question be? How dare you?
I don't know. I would like to. How dare you? I would like to ask him a question about Dungeons and Dragons.
I thought you would go there.
Is it the question I think it is?
What's the question?
Do you like dragons?
I don't think James has any loaded questions. I think he's going to be like Chris Farley on SNL. It's like, so you play Dungeons and Dragons? Oh, yes, I do. It's awesome.
I would like to play a game with you.
I would love to play Dungeons and Dragons with him. I think that would be so fun. And also, in like every movie that I'm talking about that he's in, he has very iconic looks.
He looks the same in every movie he's in.
That's not true.
And he flops around like a fish. His acting is flopping around.
No. Billy, support me in my time of need. Immediately.
Okay, here's the thing, James. To the naked eye, to simpletons like you and me, when it comes to style, because you and I are blue jeans t-shirts kind of guys, okay? Casey, on the other hand, she was born for the red carpet.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, it might
but
not be
I can
true.
identify a perfect outfit when I see one. And Matthew Lillard has rocked several.
Give me one.
In this
and
movie,
give me the small
with
details.
the glasses and the suit and the like electrician thing over the suit.
Only like the
Memorable.
flashy guy. Only like the flashy guy and She's All That or something.
Yes, that's him.
Wasn't he like the original? What is it called? Like YouTuber on She's All That.
Kind of.
Like
Isn't that how he was
influencer?
talking? Yeah.
Yeah. And in SLC Punk, the hair. In Serial Mom, the beret and the sunglasses. Lots of looks in Serial Mom, actually. Like all the court scenes. Lots and lots of looks. I'm just saying, I think
You're not wrong.
I just love him.
You know, everybody's got that one actor that they think, you know what? If I just had like 15 minutes, we might be the best of friends. And
Yeah, if I could
that's-
convince this man to get coffee with me, we would fall in love.
Oh, okay. So you took it from the best of friends to falling in love. So now
You can't be
I'm-
friends and also lovers?
I'm questioning
Man.
now. No, I've hated all my former lovers. So,
Okay.
James, tell me who's the one actor you think that you would be like best friends with, and why is he going on my shit list?
Probably me and Keanu Reeves.
You think you'd get
He
along
seems
with
like a
Keanu?
genuinely nice guy.
I think me and him would be best of buds.
Just don't go on a
Okay.
bus together.
Me,
Okay.
him, and
You don't
him,
get-
and Brendan Fraser would be the new Rat Pack, Bill.
Dang,
I would watch those movies.
I would too. Like, would you? Who would you take the place of? Dean Martin?
Yeah.
Volare. Okay, I'm down with that, James. And first of all, fuck you. Okay. So
Me, Rick, and Keanu Reeves.
so you've already replaced Brendan Fraser with Rick.
Yeah, Rick is better than Brendan Fraser now.
He knows Joe Bob Briggs, so he must be better. I guess I'll just sit over here with Joe Piscopo and watch TV.
You and Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, me and Tom Sizemore and Joe Piscopo. So
Oh,
moving
shit.
on, we've also got Embeth Davidtz, who not necessarily a stranger to horror flicks, but it had been a while. She was in the 89 flick Mutator, as well as, James, one of your personal favorites, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
And then
Speaking of Rhea Perlman,
Yes.
they're in a feature film together.
Rhea Perlman and Emma Davids? Which one?
Yep, Matilda.
Oh, they were. Okay, yeah. I
Because
didn't pick that
Emma
up when you
Davids
said it
is
earlier.
Miss Honey.
Well, she's also in this this new Shyamalan flick, newish, 2021. Old,
Beach?
yeah.
Oh, it's about a beach.
Yeah,
Never
the one
mind.
the one where they're on the beach, and it's not necessarily. I mean, it's under horror, but it's more of a suspenseful kind of thing. I'm sure it could end up being horrific, like some of his flicks. Signs. It spends 90% of the movie being a suspenseful flick, and then all of a sudden just downright horrific. But yeah, she's few and far between, but really good ones. Like those 4 that are under the horror genre are all 4 bangers. Mutator, Army of Darkness, 13 Ghosts, and Old. And then this is one, guys, that kind of messed me up in the head. Okay, I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier, Casey, but as I was prepping for this, you didn't? I'm glad you didn't, because I can talk about it now. But as I was prepping for this flick, I saw, all the actors, and I wanted to get a little background on them. I wanted to kind of filter out everything except horror flicks that they were in, because that's what people are here for. And I'm looking at F. Murray Abraham. You'll remember him from Amadeus, Moon Knight, most recently. But when I saw that he was in Moon Knight, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I thought this guy died. And I started just racking my brain trying to remember who I have him mistaken for. I thought maybe it was the dad from Jumanji. And no, it wasn't the dad from Jumanji either, because his name is like Jonathan Nash or something.
Robin Williams?
Jonathan Hyde. No, the dad. He was the son. Jonathan Hyde is the dad from that. But needless to say, this guy who was in Mimic, he was in Blood Monkey, the lead role, which should have been my first indication that he was not dead in 2007.
I mean, it's 2022. That's plenty of time to die.
I thought this guy was like dead before that, though.
Oh, and you thought he's been long dead.
Yeah. And like I thought after 13 Ghosts, it wasn't much longer. And I don't know why that happened, but I had myself a Mandela effect, and I still, at the time of this recording, I do not know the actor who passed away that I thought he was. And I am pretty sure...
Sammy Kershaw.
Definitely not Sammy Kershaw. But this guy does navigate this film Cadillac style. And he does it so well. He makes a very good villain. He does not necessarily play a villain in Amadeus, but that's the film that I knew him from, and I thought he was dead. So, Mr. F. Murray Abraham, I'm glad you're alive.
Oh, you think it's that Miguel, what's his name, played in Scarface?
Miguel?
I could not tell you what he's talking about.
Man, Bill.
Was his name Miguel in Scarface?
No.
Oh, his real name is Miguel?
I think so.
It's probably any other Spanish name.
Shit, he's been in a lot of shit. I don't even know if he was in Scarface.
Not helpful.
because F. Murray Abraham was in fucking Scarface.
Well, then that's who I thought he was.
F. Murray Abraham's in Scarface?
Yep, he's Omar.
F. Murray Abraham's been in everything, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure that when I heard the actor who I was thinking, that it was, had passed away, I was like, oh man, the guy from Amadeus passed away. Bummer, And then I went on about my life, but yet here I am looking the ghost in the face. He is the 13th ghost. Speaking of the 13th ghosts.
I was to say.
Okay, maybe not.
Let's not get that far.
Well, yeah, maybe not. But speaking of 13 ghosts, we got to look at, the Black Zodiac. Okay, I found a fun little page called 13ghosts.fandom.com, and they have a little wiki page there, and I was just kind of looking that over. I thought it'd be kind of fun to dig into the said 13 ghosts. We know that one of said ghosts is not going to show up on this list, but actually he does show up on the list. He's the last one. But I say we just go down the list, kind of tell a little something about each one, and get on with it. So the first of each is the firstborn son. This is the first ghost in the Black Zodiac. The firstborn son is the ghost of a little boy who dies of arrow shot through the head. It may possibly also represent an infant ghost or firstborn male child. And I guess this is in the lore of 13 Ghosts, not one specific guy. Because what we know about the 13 Ghosts is there has to be a ghost summoned that fits a specific archetype. Am I right?
I mean, yeah.
So in order for, I don't want to get too far ahead, but in order for a certain cataclysmic thing to happen, the summoner has to summon 13 ghosts that fit a certain description. And
so they had to hunt him down.
So he's got to hunt him down. And that's where we, get into our opening, where they're hunting down the juggernaut of all of them. And apparently they had already captured the first 11?
At that point, yeah.
At that point, because, of course, your boyfriend, Matt Lillard, he's confused. What do you mean 13 ghosts? Well, anyway, the first of which, the firstborn son. And we saw him in the flick, and he's a little boy with an arrow sticking halfway through his forehead and halfway through the back of his head, and it looks great. The second of which, the second ghost in the Black Zodiac, is the torso. He's missing his legs and or his waist. It may possibly represent a severed or mutilated ghost. I don't remember specifically seeing the torso in this one.
They showed it, but it was pretty brief.
One of those brief ones like the...
Yeah.
Okay. See, it is not a complaint. It is not a complaint whatsoever, but I did not think that they went in enough on maybe some background of each ghost. Now, this flick is only an hour and a half.
The information that we find on the ghosts, you are able to see all that information in the DVD. The production and makeup teams explain their information and the backstories for all the ghosts. Cyrus explains all the ghost backstories on the DVD.
Ah, that is very
It's very cool.
So we know Rick is probably okay with it.
Oh yeah, Rick knows everything. He owns every DVD ever made. And then that brings us to our third ghost, the bound woman. This is the ghost of a woman who died having been tied up in some fashion. But in the Arcanum, the only bound ghost is the angry princess, in which case it just represents general taking of her own life. So it is entirely possible that instead of being physically bound, this ghost has, as a prerequisite, sealed her own fate, as seen by how some sort of action, such as her infidelity, led to her demise. Then you have the withered lover. This is one of the more important ones in this film. The fourth ghost of the Black Zodiac is. And this ghost is of someone who died having a withered or worn appearance. It may also represent someone, the prereq may be that of a woman, who had her future, dreams, or relationships destroyed or broken, like being separated from one's mate. And this is, of course, from fandom.com. So who else do we have? So when we look at the list of all the spirits and 13 ghosts, after we go from the withered lover, which is a very sad tale, we get to the torn prince. Now we see him and he's missing a fair amount of the skin on the side of his face is kind of peeled back. And it says that he was a high school baseball star in the late 1950s. And he has a baseball bat weapon that he'll use to attack any of the living characters. He is not the most dangerous out of all the 13 ghosts and 13 ghosts, but he definitely causes some havoc with his weapon. After that, we have the angry princess, who we have several elongated scenes with. Besides maybe the Juggernaut or maybe the Jackal, I would say that she's one of the top 3 that we see the most. Do you guys agree with that?
She's definitely Mount Rushmore. She is not a do-nothing bitch either.
No, she's not. The angry princess is of a young woman who dies by committing suicide. It is a woman, and either popular, spoiled, beautiful, like a princess that couldn't see past her privileges and would be unhappy with her blessings. Now, if you look at her, she is very pretty. And also, when we look at the information for her, the makeup required the longest time for her to be applied at 5 hours.
Well, I also think that they probably misnamed her because she should have been called the Hammer.
Well, now that's true.
You would disagree. You would disagree.
Why would I disagree?
Because the Hammer's already been mentioned, has he not?
Okay, well, if we're talking about ladies, Matthew Lillard is quite obviously the Hammer. But if we're moving on to not hammers, the Pilgrimess is next, a victim of the Salem witch trial hysteria that gripped New England in the late 1600s. Accused of witchcraft, when burning didn't work, the perception that she was evil only increased. She is left to die of starvations. She's the only one whose arms are bound, and she can't really do a whole lot because she's kind of in, what do you call that? Is it stocks?
Like the where your head and arms are in the
That's what she's got going on. Yeah. She's got that going on, so she can't do a whole lot besides fly at you.
Which is bad
then
enough.
From there, I mean, it's not great. From there, we have one of the more unsettling pairs, in my opinion. Well, the only pair, but unsettling. It's the Great Child and the Dire Mother. And it's basically a gigantic baby and his mom, who is very small.
We only get them for a second.
We get them for a second a couple times, and then we see them at the end. But they're not highly featured. They are the ghosts of a child and a mother. It seems that they're related, and the DVD information says that she was a part of a carnival freak show, and her son was also part of it, and the freaks murdered her, leading the baby to go crazy with an axe and kill most of them before he himself was killed by an angry mob. So they died together, freak show style.
Well, the freaks do come out at night. And James, my favorite kind of freak, is a hammer of a freak. So tell us, who is this hammer? Who is this hammer?
And what does he do? The ghost is that of a heavy, muscular, set blacksmith who wields a large hammer.
Oh, that's you.
Any further or deeper implications are unknown.
Huh. Okay,
So is the ghost of George Markley as the hammer.
So this page is going to show, a quick blurb on these guys, and then, of course, the character that Cyrus chose. And it's you could really go down a rabbit hole with this lore. I love it. Carry on. Sorry.
Well, that's great, Bill. The next one is the Jackal. The Jackal is the ghost of a disheveled man wearing a cage on his head, which probably represented bestiality or wildness, seen as how much of a savage and how aggressive the ghost is, as well as his depravity and sexual implications.
I get like that on Sundays. Shit, today's Sunday. I get that on Saturdays.
Lord. The DVD says that he is the most volatile and unpredictable of the ghosts as well. And I think we see that.
Oh, we definitely see that. Yeah, there's some volatility there.
Game, Bill, Jackal. We drove around that Jeep and blowed stuff up.
Oh, I remember that game. Yeah, that is a classic NES game, James. Good call.
Wasn't there a discrepancy with that and you and Cliff Harris?
Oh, was there?
Or did I get that game from Cliff Harris?
You might have gotten it from me. I had it at one point. I don't think I got it from Cliff. Probably stole
I
it.
don't know. It reminds me of something.
Well, it was a great
Also,
game.
the band Jackal played the chainsaw.
The band Jackal is great. You got to be a hillbilly to really like Jackal, though.
I am a hillbilly.
Well, yeah, that's why you like him. I like him too, though. And Casey's half hillbilly.
My overalls on.
Am I?
Didn't we determine that you're half hillbilly?
I don't know that we did.
She's been dubbed half hillbilly.
Okay, I dubbed
I
the half
I'll
hillbilly.
take it, I guess.
Well, we're gonna have to
I
turn
don't
you
know
on
that
to
I
Jackal.
am, but
I like to put my overalls on and tune up my chainsaw and listen to Jackal.
that's quite the image.
Before I go out and cut wood.
Well, you've never cut wood, James.
Bill, I was cutting some wood the other day.
Well, you're a juggernaut of a man. Tell us about this juggernaut.
He's the ghost is that of a tall, ugly, and incredibly strong man.
You.
That's it.
Well,
And he's the last to
kinda,
be featured.
Yeah, and the first to be seen, right?
Horace Mahoney. Cyrus chooses the ghost of Horace Mahoney to serve as the juggernaut.
God.
Also,
He's kind of a final boss situation.
Yeah, it is a final boss, but like he's got that Mo Howard haircut, and it almost kind of takes away from him. You see him as like, okay. Like you see the drawings of him right in the little the book, and then all of a sudden you see him, and he's got this 1997 drum major haircut.
Also reminds me of Mahoney from Police Academy.
Police Academy, yeah. Steve Guttenberg. Steve Guttenberg should have been in this movie as the Juggernaut.
I've never seen Police Academy, so I can't comment on that.
You know what? You're pissing me off because, I mean, first there's Jackal, and now there's Police Academy. So you got like 5 or 6 movies to catch up on.
You can click on these names, and it gives you a whole, like, biography.
Yeah. That's the rabbit hole I was referring to.
It's
easy to get dragged into.
Family, Mr. Mahoney, unknown mother, friends.
What about that 13th Ghost, huh? The name,
enemies,
claim to fame.
Yeah, he's already lost. He's done went into the rabbit hole and he can't dig out. To James, there is no 13th Ghost. There's now only Mr. Mahoney. Well, that 13th Ghost was never to be gotten.
The Jackal's family is unnamed prostitute mother.
Oh, okay.
She just went by her first name, like Cher, so they couldn't really ID her.
Now, when we look at this movie and the people it features and the kind of vibe, I feel like looking into it, there are similar vibes in some other movies around the same time. And looking into that, it's because a lot of them were made by Dark Castle Entertainment. So in looking at those, we've got one of my favorites, the House on Haunted Hill remake,
yes.
13 Ghosts, Ghost Ship, Gothica, House of Wax, Orphan a little later on, Splice, which I never saw, but people enjoyed.
Who was in that?
The Orphan Splice is Adrian Brody, I think, one of our featured players on the podcast previously.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
I think it's a weird one, but a lot of these movies. I mean, like, am I right in thinking that there are a lot of the same vibes, like a lot of the same color schemes, kind of lighting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but, I thought that was
is an elite
cool looking
lineup.
into that. It really is. It's a lot of fun movies from like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah,
into the mid and late 2000s. It continues.
Every
the
one
Orphan remake is also Dark Castle, and it is upcoming. I am excited for it.
Wait a minute, they're doing what with Orphan?
They're not a remake. I'm sorry, a sequel. They're doing a sequel to it.
Well, that's still going to be great.
It's supposed to be a prequel, I guess, from what I understand.
Well,
but
I don't know. It could be great. But we know the cat's out of the bag with the real twist of the movie, so they're going to have to do something special with it. But I mean, it was still a great movie. Who played the dad in that? Was that Patrick Wilson?
I think it is Patrick Wilson.
Why is he in every fucking horror movie?
No,
today?
It's not. It's the Skarsgård guy.
Bill.
It's
Skellen.
No. It's not. I don't think he's actually related to the Skarsgård family.
What? There's not more than those guys.
No, deadass. I don't think he's related to them. Peter. It's Peter Skarsgård in that movie.
So,
but
had
Patrick
I seen
Wilson
him,
is in Insidious and the Conjuring movies.
It feels like Patrick Wilson's in everything that I don't want to see.
What about Phantom of the Opera?
I don't want to.
He has a beautiful singing voice, Billy.
Does he really?
Yeah, he does.
Was he in Les Miserables?
He was not, but if he was, I would have watched it harder.
Well, first of all, that's a great movie. That is
watch hard.
That is one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite musicals of modern day, and I might have to watch that pretty soon.
It's a good one. It's a long one, but it's worth it.
Well, we may as well go ahead and get into this thing. All right, this
this
opening
perfect film.
This is. Listen, you can talk all you want to about, the teen heartthrobs or whatever. Matt Lillard, Shannon Elizabeth. You got Rod Digga in the movie, and she's fantastic. The
babysitter.
Babysitter, yeah.
Nanny. Which, the one problem that I have with this movie is that they talk constantly about being super broke, and they have a nanny, and the sister seems to be around the same age as the nanny and perfectly capable of taking care of Bobby. I don't think they needed a nanny.
All they need is like a story for him to talk about that concerns a dead person, and he will just. It's like Eddie Griswold leaving his kids alone in that snake pit. Oh, they'll be all right for a couple hours. Just give him a dead body to talk about. Well, a Vegas vacation. But anyway, you leave this kid alone with a story about dead people, and he will entertain himself. He doesn't need a nanny. You can save yourself like $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Or does Sammy Kershaw and Sam Neill the same person?
Yes. I don't know who Sam Neill is. I do know who Sam Neill is, but I just
Sam
can't.
Neill-
Who do you know?
Jurassic
Who do you
Park.
think you are, Bill?
Isn't Sam Neill the main guy in Jurassic Park?
Yeah. Hugh
Okay.
Grant.
I can totally. Hugh Grant?
His name's it's Grant. His name's Grant. Dr. Grant, to be exact.
Okay, well, you said Hugh Grant, and
name
I'm
is-
sitting here thinking of,
I'm 99% sure in that movie his name is Alan and that Hugh Grant is an actor.
Alan Grant. Dr. Alan Grant.
Okay. Hugh Grant.
Sammy Kershaw are the same person.
well, James, Casey is all of 17 years old. She does not know who Sammy Kershaw is. She doesn't know who Clayton Kershaw is.
You're right about some of those words.
Which one?
Not the one where I'm 17 years old.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I do know who Clayton Kershaw is. Okay, well.
Wrong.
Well, okay. So listen, this opening does a really good job of giving exposition. And I'm talking about the one where they're in the junkyard. It's like just a small taste of what the Juggernaut is capable of. So we have Cyrus Kriticos, played by F. Murray Abraham, who's very much alive, and his neurotic psychic sidekick, Dennis. Okay, Dennis is who we like.
Matthew Lillard.
Mm-hmm. And they had a crew. Respect.
He's going to make you the queen of his double wide trailer.
And I'll be happy.
Good job, James. I'm going to give you that one. But they're there trying to capture the Juggernaut. Okay, and this is the boss fight that happens at the beginning of the movie, so you know it ain't going to go down well. All right, he's the ghost who lives in the junkyard. So several of the soldiers, including Cyrus, who's the rich guy funding this whole thing, they're all slain in this subsequent capture. Okay, the squad,
Cyrus
on the other
is,
hand,
cut in half.
Yeah, it does not go well for him. And the squad, though, they're able to capture the Juggernaut in
thank God.
Yeah, and it was a very cool scene. They, what do? They take a bus and they use it to spray blood everywhere to draw him out.
It is gross.
And he just completely wrecks ass. I mean, his name's the Juggernaut. Of course he's going to. But he just murders this whole company, and on the other end ends up being captured. So they have the ghost they need, but what happens? There's a 13th ghost that Cyrus was talking about prior to that, and apparently there's some shit going on that maybe I just didn't capture. They even tell why Cyrus wants these ghosts? Or is it unbeknownst to us at the point?
No, I think they kind of hint at it. We don't necessarily have context exactly for what it is, but it's definitely sideline conversation.
Okay. So second time around, you capture it. First time, maybe not.
Something's happening, though, and we know that.
Oh, yeah. There wouldn't be a movie if there wasn't something happening.
Yeah. Strange things afoot at the local junkyard.
Damn right. So, Cyrus being dead and cut in half, he's got himself an estate lawyer. And that's Ben Moss, to be exact, played by J.R. Bourne. So he informs our guy, Tony Shalhoub. Our guy, Tony Shalhoub, who plays Arthur. Tony Schiavone, who plays Arthur Kriticos, who is a mathematician, a widower, a broke widower who has a nanny for his child, who is a young podcaster, not unlike us. But he informs him, we are all this child. There's a dead person. Let's look at him.
Rick Shalhoub.
So Rick Shalhoub has this podcast, and he's just talking about dead people at the dinner table or the breakfast table. But the lawyer, this estate lawyer, comes and visits this family who's down on their luck, supposedly doesn't have any money, but
only nanny money.
Oh, yeah, only nanny money. But they've now inherited a home. And one of my favorite lines was from Shannon. Well, it wasn't from Shannon Elizabeth, but Shannon Elizabeth set the line up. And it really goes to the mastery of Tony Shalhoub's acting ability, I guess. His delivery on his lines has always kind of, I don't want to say fascinated me, but I notice it when I see him in a movie. But she says, we have an Uncle Cyrus? I said, well, we had, and he was, he squandered the family fortune. And Shannon Elizabeth says, we have a family fortune? And Tony Shalhoub says, we had. He squandered it. I don't know why his delivery of that
made me laugh.
Oh, that's spectacular, Bill. Isn't that the same guy that played Monk?
We have already gone.
Welcome to the podcast, James. I'm glad you just now got here. No wonder you didn't.
How you gonna get a popular show called Monk?
That was his last name in the show.
Yeah. Well,
Adrian Monk, I think,
yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah. Adrian Monk. Yeah. And don't say anything about the last name Monk, because only the greatest wide receiver to ever play football's last name was Monk. Okay.
Rick Monk.
Everybody's a Rick.
Art Monk.
Thank you for putting the respect on his name. So this family has inherited this home, okay? And
didn't he play for the Redskins, Bill?
He absolutely did, James. I know it. I know, you poor guy. But they're going to move this poor family into this home that they've inherited. I mean, why not? Because
this Nikola Tesla hellscape of a home.
Yeah. And they're bringing the nanny.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah. She's great. First of all, let me go back to her real quick. She is a rapper who was kind of like part of one of my favorite troops in the New York, New Jersey area, a tribe called Quest. Q-Tip discovered her, and that's just absolutely one of my favorite hip-hop rap groups ever. But as this family, what is her last name? Kriticos. As the Kriticos family and the estate lawyer visit the home, Dennis shows up. All right, Dennis is Matt Lillard, and he is disguised as, he's got this orange jumpsuit. He's disguised as a power company guy, like an electrician, I guess. So this house,
he looks very handsome.
He looks wonderful. You know, this house though is like nearly like all like entirely built out of glass with like metal framing. First of all, I love this house. Like, it just looks so. Even in 2000, what was it? Even in 2001. This house looks spectacular compared to anything that I see in 2021.
22?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know what year I'm in. What month is this? It's April. God damn, I'm kind of behind.
A little bit.
Well, this house like has some, several rare antiquities. It's got these Latin words carved on the floors, and I think in the walls too. It's got those incantations that we'll learn about later. But the glass walls are movable, so you can just trap your best friend in one corner. Don't let him out. Just put a little a hot pocket in the corner, and he'll go right over there, James. And so Arthur and his family, they're really excited to, they got this beautiful property, and Arthur consults with, his, solicitor, about, his financial problems. Okay. He can't afford this. So, he's talking to what's his name? Moss. Kathy and Bobby, who, Bobby is, Rick Shaloub, and Kathy, I think is that her name? Kathy? Shannon Elizabeth?
Yep.
All right, so they go out to explore, and of course Dennis, he's there to do some secret agent shit. He's rushing upstairs to he sees all these multiple spirits, and apparently like in They Live, he's got these special glasses that can see what's going on. But he sees these spirits in the basement kind of swarming around, and he wants to warn Arthur about the house that he's going to buy. And do they believe him? Absolutely not. Who's going to believe that, right? You just inherited...
The first person to put on those glasses, which are apparently a kept detail from the original 1960 13 Ghosts. But as soon as he starts putting these glasses on people, they start understanding pretty quick.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. It just sounds... you would think, though, in 2022, or 2021 even, that you just put these glasses on me, and these are special glasses. That's what it is. You're showing me holograms that are built into these glasses. I've got a PlayStation VR. You can't trick me. But
then you get got.
And you get got. Nobody's buying it. So, he's trying to warn them. And like anybody would, though, you just inherited this huge mansion. You got to think there's some shysters coming around trying to, get you to squander it. So, Dennis tells Arthur that the mansion is home to these 12 spirits, 12 wraiths, 12 phantasms. I don't know what other words he used. Who are being held hostage. And Shaloub, he's again really funny. When Matt Lillard's using every word to describe what these entities are, living in their home, he basically gets tired of not being understood. So he simply says ghosts. And after a bit of silence, Shaloub says, goats?
I loved that moment.
A very good moment. That one kind of popped me as well. James probably hated it, but it is what it is.
I don't even remember that, Bill.
You don't remember that part?
No.
He said they're wraiths, they're wraiths, they're phantasms, they're spirits, and Shaloub's not buying it. He doesn't understand. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, okay, I'll say it simply, ghosts. And there's like 3 seconds of silence, and Shaloub says, "Goats? No ghosts! Damn it!" Great line. But Ben Moss, the estate lawyer, he's spotted kind of slipping away with his suitcase full of cash. That was supposed to be the payment. So upon getting, the payment to the family, I guess, is, if I understand correct, that's kind of the rest of their inheritance, maybe? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. I
was unclear where that money came from.
Yeah, it's either that or maybe it's for Matthew Lillard. I was never really sure whose money that's supposed to be, because I know, like, at the beginning, Cyrus tells Matthew Lillard he's going to give him, like, a lot of money to help him capture this last ghost, the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
So we know, and he makes it very clear from the tip top, that Cyrus owes him money.
Yeah, that's
so I didn't know
probably
whose money that was.
No, that probably sounds right, because I do remember money being mentioned at the beginning. I just don't remember if it was ever specified. But Moss is, he's slipping away with that money, and upon getting that money, he kind of activates a device that was put up by Cyrus, which it locks the door and releases the ghosts one by one. And as a result, Moss runs into the angry princess.
Not
Very
only
cool
does
scene.
he run into her.
Yeah, he is kind of shitty to her at first. I think he tells her nice tits or something like that.
He does.
And
it's very disrespectful.
He's very disrespectful to the dead lady, and had he not been that way, she might have let him go. But she's the first to be freed, and she's got him backed up, into an open doorway. It's almost like I don't say like a door frame, because you can't really tell. It almost looks like an open hall, but this thing fucking clamps down on his ass, slices him in half, like standing up. And at first, it's like almost like a slow burn of a kill, to the point where you don't know, like, did it just like trap his ass in the door? Like, what happened? But no, it got him a little deeper. It actually went through him, like cut him probably symmetrically front to back, or I guess east to west. It didn't cut him front to back. But he slowly starts to slide down, and you see his, well, every bit of him, but mainly you're focused on his skull. You see his brain perfectly cut in half. It couldn't have been you couldn't slice a fruit any smoother than this door sliced him in half. That killed.
He got.
He
fucked
got
around. He found out.
Yes. Two things that he did going down into that corridor was fucking around and finding out. But, the presence of the ghost is kind of later established to, the skeptic Arthur, who didn't believe it at first, when he observes the ghost known as the Jackal attacking Shannon Elizabeth. And this is a very intense scene. Very intense. It's ripping her clothes to shreds. At one point, it's looking a little hot, but you realize she's about to die, and you can't see a hot Shannon Elizabeth if she's dead. Okay? So the Jackal gets after her. Here comes Tony Schiavone, and he drags her away. Again, it's cutting back and forth to being able to see the Jackal and not being able to see him, but only seeing like maybe it looks like a levitating Kathy? Yeah.
Kathy.
Levitating Kathy. And that's where the Jackal is, he's got her pulled up. But this is a very intense scene. And you kind of see what the Jackal's about in that high volatility that you were talking about.
Can I ask a very important question?
James, by all means.
How did Tony Shalhoub have such a hot daughter?
Well, you see.
Well, the mom was pretty.
Yeah, the mom was a babe, but she didn't do it alone. Okay, this might have been 2001. In 1984, Tony Shalhoub would walk into your living room, slap your gal, make himself a sandwich, sit down at the TV, and fall asleep on your recliner, and you would thank him for it. He was a handsome devil.
Are you sure, Bill?
We'll be posting pictures of Tony Shalhoub from 1984 on the Slasher Sports pages.
We will, and I'll back it up.
Tony Shalhoub, 1984.
That was James's Google search.
He's got a mustache.
And that's all I need to know. He was given
Billy
free
loves a
mustache
mustache.
rides. He was given
Billy.
free mustache rides in 84, okay?
You are a demon.
In
He kinda looks
1983?
like, I'll tell you what he looks like.
Tell me.
He looks like a young Shia LaBeouf.
I know exactly who that is.
Well, put a mustache on him. He looks like Tony Shalhoub in 1984.
Was there not a Shia LaBeouf role where he had a mustache?
He probably is. Let's see here. Shia LaBeouf with a mustache.
Oh my god. Why don't you Google things with your thumbs?
His thumbs don't work like that, Casey.
Because I can't spell Tony Shalhoub or Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, God. He can't spell Final Girl Casey, let alone Shia.
He has a mustache, but he also has a beard, so it's not just
it's not the same.
mustache.
It's
like
not the
Billy.
same. I don't have a mustache. I just didn't shave.
You do too.
So, after getting separated...
Growing facial hair is like Billy growing facial hair.
So what the hell does that mean, James?
A damn cat could lick it off, Bill.
After becoming separated from Maggie, Bobby, which is Rick Shalhoub, and the younger of the two kids, they go down, Bobby, he goes down to the basement and he gets lost. Okay, first of all, fuck this kid. I'm sorry, Final Girl Mom, but fuck this kid. He's been on my nerves since the opening scene, forcing the morbid personality, but he meets a number of ghosts down there, okay, including the torso, the bound woman, and there was one more, I don't know, but Arthur, he finds, Kathy, and, they fight the jackal while the kid Bobby is down there by himself. So, Kalina, this is Embeth Davids' character. Somebody explain to me what Kalina's supposed role is at this point. Where does she come in?
She's like the archaeologist, like the ghost anthropologist. Like, she knows all their history. She has like the codes to the fucking house. She's like Cyrus's henchman almost. Like, if Dennis is his employee, Kalina seems to be his accomplice almost.
Is that the supposed role though? Or is that the role that we find out later?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I think in the moment, well, she says from the beginning she's trying to free them, right?
Okay.
Like, she comes in spouting that information, that she's going to free all the ghosts.
Okay, so she's there of her own volition, not on behalf of anybody else, supposedly.
As far as we know so far.
And she just wants to free him. Okay, so, she helps Arthur get, Kathy out of the jackal's hold, which, they lose that a few seconds later. But following that, Arthur's goal is clear. He's got to locate his children and get out of this place as quickly as possible. This is troublesome for, two reasons. The ghosts can only be seen with these special They Live glasses. And the walls continue to alter, making navigation impossible. So they're kind of stuck. It's a death trap. It's a death curse. But after that, Arthur and Kalina, they meet up with Dennis and Maggie. Maggie's the nanny, right? So, and they head to the library, which, the library's safe. The library never moves. But Dennis, on the other hand, he kind of slips behind due to having these psychic visions. This is something that we didn't really establish at the beginning. The reason he was Cyrus's sidekick is because he has psychic visions. And, he can see what's coming up. But he still needs those glasses to see the ghosts. But, he gets there just in time to see Arthur being attacked by the jackal. Dennis is able to hit the jackal with one of Kalina's flares, which, knocks him off of Arthur, who's, now injured. But, Kalina reveals in the library that this is not just, not a house, but rather a complicated mechanism developed by Cyrus himself and planned by this deranged 15th century astronomer to open the Ocularis Infernum, or Hell's Eye.
The giant time turner from Harry Potter looking mechanism in the middle of the house.
Yeah, this thing looks like
spinning arms.
Looks like this vegetable chopper that I have. What'd you say, James?
That don't sound good at all.
It doesn't sound good at all. It just sounds like the most, to the naked eye, it looks like just the world's most complicated can opener. But this thing will fuck you up. It is the ninja food processor. But once this diabolical technology created by the devil and powered by the dead, opens the eye, the user of it is going to be able to see everything in the past and future. So there's a reason, they want to see heaven and earth, the blessed and the condemned. So, the spirit of Arthur's dead wife, Jean, comes into play here. She's
it's bad that her son is the one who discovers it.
Well, no bags herself.
The whole ball and chain.
The old battle axe herself shows it.
So she's discovered to be the fourth ghost.
What have you done to my kids, Shalhoub?
She still calls him by his real name. But she's operating this gadget, much to Arthur's surprise and probably chagrin. Kalina then informs Arthur that his children are in severe danger, and that the only way to secure their safe return is to swap his soul for theirs.
Sounds pretty easy, Bill.
Oh, it sounds easy, but it's not. If Arthur, follows through with his plan, he can get out unscathed, but, it's not going to happen. But Arthur and, Dennis, they keep trying to save Kathy and Bobby, Rick Shalhoub. This time, they utilize a shattered pane of glass. This was genius. I really like this idea. Out of the box thinking. A shattered pane of glass. It's got the incantations that keep the ghosts at bay. But they use this to kind of walk their way through the corridors. It's going to protect them from, any ghosts that come and try to do them harm. So the Torn Prince, he's unleashed first, followed by the Hammer. And this prompts Dennis to force Arthur into a corner where he's going to be shielded by the glass. And this seemed unnecessary. It seemed like they could both fit, but they weren't trying. He didn't even try it. He's like, well, you're the only one's going to fit, so you stay back there. And then he, plays the hero role and really entices, I believe, the Hammer to come after him and leave Shalhoub alone.
And the
Arthur.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, I guess both. I guess he's kind of screwed up by both of them. And actually, the Juggernaut's the one who...
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in a heroic but tragic twist, we lose all of our favorite character, Dennis, who is kind of redeeming himself, right? Because we find out that he was kind of enslaving these ghosts at Cyrus's behest. And he's called out pretty heavily for that. He does seem, it seems like he was captured into this propensity, paid heavily to do so and kind of at Cyrus's beck and call. But he does redeem himself by using this sheet to protect Cyrus and is fully just broken against a corner. It reminds me of that part in Batman Begins, I think. No. It's Dark Knight Rises, where he's just broken across Bane's knee. It's like that, but up against the corner of a wall. Am I wrong?
No, you're not
I think
wrong.
that's very accurate.
Okay, so despite having the crush on this guy, his death is not explained with any Batman references.
No, it's just a similar looking death, the way he's
the
broken in
backbreaker
half.
against the pole.
Yeah.
Batman didn't die.
No, he didn't die, but he got broken and had to crawl his way out of the cave.
Okay, James, I'll put it in terms that even the likes of you can understand. He put him in one of those Nikolai Volkov backbreakers, is what he did. Now I understand.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Well, he protected Arthur at the cost of his own life. And
I was just saying the dramatics of it is not compared to a Batman film.
Well, why doesn't it?
Because he's just a little side character that gets mushed, all right?
He's one of the most important characters in this movie.
The most.
Tell him, Casey, I'm too mad.
We
have a twist. We have a twist. Our first, well, I don't know if it's our first, but one a very big twist, and that it's that Cyrus, the mastermind behind it all, is found to be alive, having faked his death in order to get Arthur to the mansion. And then Kalina's revealed to be a secret partner and lover, I think. She knocks Maggie out, which would not happen in real life because Maggie is not a do-nothing bitch. But Cyrus had planned these whole events out, including, kidnapping Kathy and Bobby, in order for Arthur to become what?
God.
The 13th Ghost.
Oh.
Not to stop the machine, as Kalina had stated earlier, but to start it.
Start it.
Crank that bitch up. But the plan's main problem, according to Kalina, is that Arthur's only going to sacrifice himself if his children are truly in danger. And when she refuses to...
It appears they are.
Yes, but it doesn't look like they are, if this was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, like, it's not Willie being face down in the fire. She's still tied up on the things. They're okay at the moment. They're surrounded by these crazy, huge ninja food processing blades, but they're not about to be beheaded or anything like that. But they're close. But she refuses to obey Cyrus's command, and he kind of gives this eye roll sigh, and he puts her in her own little tiny cell, telling her that, what was the quote? I had the quote notated. Greatness necessitates sacrifice, I believe is what he said, right before he fucking crushes her between these two glass walls. If that's not dedication to the plan.
Apparently that was supposed to be a much ickier moment. Originally, her death where she was crushed between the panels was a lot gorier, with shots of her eyes popping out and brains squirting everywhere. Well, it was cut down because they thought it would get the film a NC-17 rating, so they cut it back.
That would not have gotten an NC-17.
I think there's been way worse in R-rated movies.
There's tons worse. Well, Arthur's visited by Jean's spirit. Yes, Jean, James. While he's trapped behind... And this glass, by the way, this special glass is called Ectobar. And any time you see the word ecto, that has to do with ghosts. Ectoplasm, the Ecto one in Ghostbusters. But in response to a tape-recorded summoning ritual performed by Cyrus, all the spirits vanish from the basement. Kathy and Bobby are trapped in the middle of this swirling razor-sharp ring that looks like, the veggie dicer. Makes great pico de gallo, by the way. Maggie takes the tape and messes up the machine somehow. Interrupts Arthur and Cyrus's heated encounter. The spirits...
Wade has a good salsa recipe.
You know what, James? You make me sick on the salsa recipes. And I'm going to tell Casey about this in a minute. We're going to see who's right and who's wrong. But
I'll be happy to give input. I love giving input.
Well, I know you do, and you like also being the Judge Judy of the podcast. So that's really important to it. But the spirits, they're released from their slumber as a result of this equipment failure, and the machine begins to malfunction. Everybody's released except Jean. All the ghosts, they all seize Cyrus and they fling him into the rotating rings. They slice him into pieces again, as if, the opening scene. They never do say how he survived that. But the spirit of, Dennis then appears, asking Arthur to go see his children. And, Arthur, he jumps to save his children. He waits for a little gap in the razor rings, following the malfunction. He makes the leap without dying. The glass walls of the home break, frees the ghosts from their confinement.
They go running off through the yard.
They go run,
that movie with Kevin Costner that I can't think of.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, that is the one.
Jean pauses for a little moment to say farewell to her family before departing with the others into the great beyond.
And Maggie's done.
And Maggie's done with this shit. She's, walking through all the debris. She's just beaten, downtrodden, just shouting at Arthur and, the kids that she did not agree to this when she came to work for him, and that it's not the job description, and she quits.
She's right.
Yeah, definitely job description. But,
she survived and Matthew Lillard got axed.
Well, you can't just do the things that Matthew Lillard was doing in the past and expect to survive.
He redeemed himself.
There was redemption, and he went out like a hero. I like those scenes, though, where there was never a point in the movie where I hated Matthew Lillard. But there are shows and movies where... I know you. But there are movies where you see somebody who you didn't like in the past, but for the greater good of the group, they end up doing this heroic thing. And one of the more important scenes I remember is from the TV show Prison Break. And this may have been season 3, where the former correctional officer,
This
who
is
was like,
spoilers on a very interesting show.
we just
But go on.
spoiled. Yeah, I'm gonna spoil Prison Break season 3 right now.
What about 24, Bill?
I don't want to spoil that. I would never spoil that.
I'm in an air shaft, and I've got to get the nuclear launch codes.
Well, that was seasons 1, 5, and 8.
Give me the codes. I'm in the dry shaft.
Is that your best Kiefer?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't you ever fucking make fun of Kiefer again. Never in your life, James.
Ken Seasons and him yelling, "Roar!"
James, that is the greatest TV show that's ever been as far as dramas go.
Never going to say it. Continue.
You're going to see it next time we're over. Anyway, so
you
yeah.
probably have that backdrop.
Yeah, but you'll be peeking. You'll be peeking over there to look at it, pretending that you don't care anything about it. But anyway, season 3 of Prison Break, the CEO, they've got to drill this hole in this giant pipe, and the only way that they can pass through without the water sweeping them away is to put another really large pipe in there, but it's so heavy that it keeps falling. So Brad Bellick, Officer Bellick, jumps in the hole, picks it up, pushes it through, but that traps him inside the pipe, and here comes the water sweeping him away. He did it for the greater good. And that's what, this scene reminded me of. A heroic sacrifice of himself.
Sure.
But guys, that's where this film ends. This was it. So I guess we need to get final thoughts. James, don't you doggone lie to me. I know you love this movie. Tell me more.
Bill, I hate this movie because it scares me. It should be right up y'all's alley.
See, that's how you know. If it scares James, it's done its job. I guess I should give my final thoughts on this one, so Casey can do the grand finale. I know Casey probably likes this movie more than anybody on this podcast combined, and I'm including Rick in that.
More than anybody on this earth, but go on.
Or yes,
I bet Rick likes this movie too.
That's probably why he called out. I'm not reviewing that shit. I'm a fan of this movie. Like I said, this is probably my favorite supernatural film, just right offhand. Can't say it for sure. I'd have to get a list of supernatural films, but this is one of my very favorite ones. And the cast wasn't too big for me to see only that actor playing their character. You know how you see a Jack Nicholson movie, you don't really see his character anymore. You just see Jack Nicholson saying words. Tom Cruise is the same way.
That's true.
You know what? Anything after 90 or 89 Batman, it's just Jack Nicholson playing a character. I don't see whatever his name was in Anger Management. I see Jack Nicholson.
I cannot even begin to agree with that faulty statement. But
name another where his character was just
The Departed, A Few Good Men.
That was just Jack Nicholson in a military uniform.
You can't handle the truth.
What's that from, James?
Okay.
But I love this movie, and it gets 5 out of 5.
Time or the inkling to let you sit here and tell me what you're gonna do when it's my blood that protects you when you sleep at night.
Should have never started.
I was just gonna see how far that was gonna go. Damn, James.
You can't. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Why do you do your voice like that when you talk about Tom Cruise?
Because that's how Tom Cruise sounds to me.
Casey, what say you on 13 Ghosts?
First, what say critics? I'll begin with them.
Do it.
So one massive complaint that people have with this movie is the sound mixing. I will say, I'll admit it as half a flaw, because if you don't have the captions turned on for this movie, you will miss a fair amount. A lot of the ghost stuff is kind of drowned out by the score. We've got a lot of sounds going on that aren't necessarily combined in the most flawless way. So a lot of people had an issue with that. Fine, whatever. So I'll give you a good review and then a bad review.
Please do.
In addition to the incredible set that serves as the centerpiece of the film, which is without question its most enjoyable quality, there are also some amazingly truthful performances by Shalhoub, Lillard, and of course Abraham. A bad review says, Director Beck discards Dark Castle's signature cheeky verb, saddling the film with a poor script rife with hilarious exposition, a literally painful sound design, and uniformly bad acting. I cannot begin to tell you how much I hate William Thomas from Empire magazine.
Bill Thomas from Empire, you can go to hell. Straight to hell.
Kiss my ass. So, I will now give you my opinions, which I will kind of just repeat, that this is a almost perfect movie. But really, I do love this movie. It is a friggin' blast. Looking at all the ghosts and all the information, and especially if you get in there on the DVD and watch some of the background stuff and learn a little more about the ghosts, this movie is a fun time. The house is pretty cool to look at. The set is pretty amazing. And Matthew Lillard's perfect. What can I say? Not much more than that.
This film is perfect. James and Casey, you are both perfect. And
Aww.
guys,
and Rick.
Don't get me started on that little rat soup eating bastard. Rick, we missed you. We hope you ate a lot of Easter eggs. We hope they give you the runs.
Okay.
Well, maybe not. I think he is lactose intolerant. I don't know. I'm not on his PHI form. But
what's
guys,
the egg got to do with lactose intolerance?
Well, the chocolate eggs, man. They,
I bet he's got gas from eating all them deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs are disgusting.
You know what? You're disgusting.
Okay. I can live with that.
I'll die on that hill. Deviled eggs are the greatest thing ever. They're probably my favorite side come Thanksgiving.
Ick.
Well, guys, if you are enjoying Slashers and Screamers, we do appreciate your feedback. So please go to your podcast app or site of choice and give us a review, however good or bad it may be. That's how we get out to more listeners. And, thankfully, that's how we've gotten out to so many different locations. We're not just a local podcast anymore. We have our friends who take care of us, but we also have new friends across, many nations. And I'm talking everywhere from India to Vietnam. And it's overwhelming looking at the growing list of people who continue to tune into the show. We appreciate you very much. And please go rate the show, follow us on social media, and keep an eye out this week for our next film that we're going to review. And hopefully Rick will be back with us. So again, at Slasher Sports on Twitter, at Slasher Sports Media on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So that's going to do it for this episode of Slashers and Screamers for The Godfather of Droll James and Final Girl Casey, and I guess the Memphis Maniac Rick. I am Billy Graves, and we will catch you in the game.